Now maybe another interesting indicator. Let's look at, for example, let's go down. What do we have? Okay. Pivot lines are nice. Let's look at pivot lines. Let's add them to the chart first to see what they do. Pivot lines. Now they draw actually something into the chart. So they have a type, they have an end of date type, last only. If deactivated, we have a lot of lines here now. And the system can handle all of this in real time. I mean, it's no problem. Let's take a look how this is developed. So we have the data resolution mapped, which is here, monthly, daily or weekly. What did we set? We have monthly now, so we get the month start IDs, which will return the IDs of the bars in which the month changes. So 130, 1378, 1399 and so on. And then we can loop through these critical points and we can check for the conditions of the pivot lines depending on the calculations. And if we have those, we can access the price information. So we used close bar already. We also have low bar and high bar and volume bar to access the other pieces of information. So this is low bar, high bar, open bar, close bar. It's all available as a constant. And now in the end, let's go to the back. It is possible to create signals, buy and sell signals, like that, with the set signal function, which will set a signal on a specific data point. We can have some complex calculations, and then we can draw lines using the draw functions. So draw line will draw a line from a data point at a given value to another data point at a given value, and that's basically it. You can assign a color. We have the IDs stored in the dates array. So this is simply a number which is stored here, and that shows you basically how you can use the drawing functions. Some other more interesting indicators, for example, the multi-time frame. Here we see the WKN ID for the first time. This is actually the ID for the currently loaded value. So this is what you can see when you go to 3M, right click and details, and this is the WKN ID. This is the internal ID of the symbol, which is also encoding what the data source is, what the internal ID is, and where it comes from. And now what we actually state here is we want to load data for this symbol, which is currently loaded, but with a different resolution, and plot it onto the price. Now, another interesting concept are indicators which accept script code as well. So let's, for example, go for the quick formula. That will show us some formula which is entered here. We can simply, for example, say we want to turn the close bar like that, or increase it by a 1 like that. So we now have a formula entered here, and when we look at the source code, there is an eval function available which will evaluate what is actually entered here in the parameter. So it will create a plot, it will create a string actually, which contains the other script. So they simply plotted what is in here. It's a very powerful function. You can create completely new scripts out of the scratch and dynamically, and you call eval and it's evaluated right here in this position. Now to check out some mathematical functions maybe as well, we can take a look at the random graph or the random quote development. For example, here we just calculate some random numbers and set points. So So far we have worked with the complete data rows. Data rows are like close bar, but it's also possible to work with individual points. And what last bar and start bar are actually doing is, last bar contains the last ID of the main data row. So it's from the chart here. It's 1400 in this case. And this means start with the item one bar after the current one until a given range, and create new points and draw a bar there with this value, which is I3. So with this quick walkthrough through the parameters of some example indicators, I will close the session. And again, I can only say, have a look at the existing indicators. If you have some specific questions how to use the functions, you can use tons of functions here. Maybe a quick look. You have array functions with all kinds of manipulations. You have chart functions where you can open the chart, close a chart. You have date and time functionality where you can manipulate the time, the date. You can extract current information from date. You have drawing functions where you can draw lines, circles, diamonds, points, everything like that. You can adjust the colors and thicknesses of items. You have file access, so you can copy files, create them, get directory listings, read files into memory, check if files exist, and write information. So you can do extensive file handling. You can read custom file formats if you want to. In the next section we will discuss how to create custom filters. You can manipulate folders here and read them on the fly, export them. You have some global variables listed here. Quite a lot actually, with the days and colors. You have indicator functions where you can actually calculate something which is needed by an indicator. You can plot, you can get trailing stops, start IDs, things like that. You have the indicators which are registered with is function equals 1. So all of those you can access, and you see there's a comma in here because indicators can have aliases, and aliases are simply alternative names for this indicator. So the moving average is also available as the German Gleitender Durchschnitt. Then you have user interaction. You can have a pop-up dialog for the user to choose a date, a directory, a file, a stock, a time range. You can have input any text, and you can have a message box appear which he has to confirm. You can work with lists. You have mathematical functions. You have matrix functions to work with matrix, to invert them, to add columns, delete columns, to have inversions, things like that. You can output something with print or return. You can play sounds, format something. You can set progress bars if there's a longer calculation. You can work with portfolios and really access every detail of the portfolios. Then you can do something with the historical date functionality. You can get infos on the data sources and the languages, some info about the licenses as well. You can have some scripting specific functions like the profiler. You can set signals and create signals with conditions and with individual predictions as well, which will appear in lists and in the chart. You can work with strings by converting parts of the string to numbers, or by uppercasing, lowercasing it, replacing parts of it. You can work with the symbols like 3M. You get news for it. You can insert quotes. You can load data from it. You can get information about a symbol quite extensively. And you can do something with the web. You can download stuff from a web page. You can upload something to an FTP server. You can send mail. You can open a browser and you can check if there's an internet connection available. And for example, if you want to insert a function and you don't know the parameters, you either go and see the tooltip, or you double click on it and it will insert automatically the function with the names of the parameters. Just like that. Okay, if you have specific questions, then please put them in the comments of this video thread, or send a mail to support@fibotrader.com, and we are glad to help you with the scripting.